Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the ZMAM show as Adam and I are talking Running Man, 1987. I mean, we're talking, this is 33 years ago. I mean, Adam, what were we, like 4 years old when this came out?
Sounds about right. I think at the time I was more interested in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but
Yeah,
yeah,
and so it's needless to say, we did not see this when we were first born in our younger years,
right.
but we did see it as we got a little bit older. And this movie, we want to talk about, does it still hold up right now? Because so when it does its like little running credits, it takes place in our real world, 2017. And so let's just say their depiction of 2017 is probably a little different than it actually turned out.
Sure, for sure. So in their depiction, I mean, for those of you who haven't seen the movie, like it's like there's food shortages, military police state takes place in the U.S. I mean, maybe we got some similarities. Like we'll get into this later. Like we're doing reality TV right now,
True,
but
true.
we're not killing people on reality TV. I mean, we did our GDP in 2017 was lower than our debt. I don't know if that equates to a food shortage though.
Yeah, yeah.
Bottom line, I think the good thing for us is 2017 for us was significantly better than 2017 for Arnold's character Ben Richards in The Running
Yeah,
Man.
yeah.
So happy about
So Ben
that.
Richards, so he's a military personnel, right? And he's in the beginning we kind of get to see a little part of this world, not a whole lot of it, but they show him he's in a helicopter with some of his buddies, right? And they're heading in, and it sounds like there's some kind of food riot. But Ben Richards is caught off guard when his commanding officer basically tells him to wipe everybody out, to kill everybody. So the government, it's just kind of showing how shady governments can be, which, mind you, is not that much different than today. I think they pretty much hit that right on the head. But the way Ben basically refuses, right, and he gets caught, almost falls out of a chopper, and the next thing you know, he's in prison.
Yeah, and like I thought on top of like giving you a compelling reason to be behind Ben Richards, like he's this guy who had the compassion to like disobey a direct
Right.
order to kill innocent people just for what was basically a protest. And basically
Ooh.
they frame him for it, and like effectively he ends up becoming like almost a part of this like underground resistance
Right.
movement as a part of. I like the fact that in the movie, like they kind of take the time to really explore the setting. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously we know he's going to end up on this game show called The Running Man eventually,
Right.
but they show what it's like for him to be in prison. They have him meet with a couple members of the resistance. They have him interact with a woman in an apartment room
Where
who is illegally who he has illegal copies of like videotape cassettes and things or audio cassettes and things like that. They give you an idea to feel like what the world is like outside of this TV show, which I thought was pretty
and there was
cool.
other things affecting Ben too, which they didn't get in too deep on it, but like his brother. He said, my brother used to live in this apartment.
Yeah,
Where is he? And then she says, taken
right,
away for re-education. And it's
right.
amazing. Like this movie, although, yeah, over the top action, Arnold, yes, 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 but in a lot of ways, man, it kind of hits home on some things and like not the too far distant future. If you were to have a president take over, which actually had a higher part of the class that had a military behind them, I mean, they could do a lot
Yeah,
of stuff like this. It's very dangerous.
yes, yes, no, and I think you're absolutely right, and I think it's one of those things where it's a very real possibility that it could happen at any point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially with incoming inequality being where it is right now. Yeah, I think there's that void that if the wrong person filled it, we might be heading in the wrong direction. So maybe not 2017, but hopefully not 2025 or anytime soon either. You know
But
what
a
I
lot
mean?
of the most awesome things about this movie are, not to get so on the politics and all that junk, but it's just the great 80s action, right? I mean,
Of
you have
course.
Arnold at his best. His one-liners are coming in and in and out all over the place. You even hear his "I'll be back" at one point, where Killian, which is the game show host for this Running Man show, right? He replies to him like, "Only in a rerun," right?
Yeah,
Which you mentioned a
yeah,
little earlier about how sick is that. I mean, basically knowing you're sending somebody to their death, that the only chance of seeing this dude again is on TV again when they rerun the show.
right. And like to give people some background that haven't seen the movie before, the whole idea behind the Running Man show is they put ex-convicts basically on this reality TV show. They shoot them down this chute through this like through this small vehicle, and basically they have to run through 4 quadrants while the game people that run the game show send people that are called stalkers after the contestants. And the
Right.
stalker's goal is literally to kill the contestant on live
That's
TV.
it.
And so this is like one of the ways that they pacify the public because of all the food shortages is to show these violent TV shows,
Right.
and The Running Man is the most popular show on
And the
TV.
people, they buy into it. I mean, almost like with a
Yeah,
sickening sense. I mean, these people are. I mean, they thirst for blood, for death, like the old gladiators, right, of Roman times, right?
right.
They're just like, kill, kill, and just seeing their excitement. Which you have to admit, for a bunch of extras, the crowd really does a great job at giving you that over the top, cynical sense of things, where it's just like, like you said, just the thirst for blood and death on this show.
Yeah, and I think just in general, going back to what even not only do they do a great job of creating the setting going into the show, but they do a good job of capturing just how into it is. And
Hmm.
like they tell you at the beginning that it pacifies people, but then like you said, they really show you. You get a you get a guy in a bar yelling, "Kill that son of a bitch!" with his like his fists in the air,
Hmm.
and and you get these old ladies predicting which stalker is going to get the first kill and stuff like that. And yeah, it's
Agnes,
really
Agnes,
yeah,
he goes, "You're my favorite, contestant or whatever." He goes, "Give me a kiss, but no tongue," which is funny because he's kissed so many women from the Family Feud show. That's where Richard Dawson, who
right,
plays Killian, that's where he came from, right? Back in the
right.
'70s, that dude, I think he was notorious. I don't know how many women he's kissed, and kissed very well, mind you. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of little throwbacks here and there, and he played with it too, and he plays really a major asshole, which is funny enough because a lot of people say that's how he is, kind of even in real life, or was in real life, I should say. But yeah, this movie is just a roller coaster of craziness. And so Ben gets recaptured, right? Then they're getting ready to toss him in, but as a twist of things, they catch up with his buddies. Is it Lachlan and Weiss? Is it?
Yeah,
Is
and
it?
the
I don't know if
guys,
it's Laughlin or Lachlan. I think it's Lachlan, but it's
sure,
Laughlin. William Laughlin. So sorry, I should know that. I've seen this movie so many freaking times. It's ridiculous.
yeah, you're good,
But yeah, so basically they say, Ben, if you don't go on the show, we're gonna put your buddies in. And in the end, they put him in anyways, of course, the total
right?
jerk move. And these three go in, but it's cool because once they do get in, they start kicking ass together, right?
Yeah, they do. I think they do a lot better than they expect him to. Like they send the first stalker after him. I mean, like, and Ben Richards, Arnold's character, proves that he's a match for these guys, and it catches everybody off guard. And I don't know, it's kind of, and it's, I mean, like, yeah, it's interesting, and it's got kind of that 80s action feel to it. So like,
Mm-hmm.
if you like 80s action, you're gonna like the action scene.
Totally.
If you don't, you're not going to.
Yep.
But the thing that really stuck me is like how the crowd reacts to everything. Like, and watching the crowd progress in their opinion of Ben Richards as he kind of runs through
It
this gauntlet
starts
and encounters all these different
it starts
stalkers.
shifting, right?
Yeah,
I mean, as he
yeah,
start
they start liking
yeah,
him.
as he starts killing these guys off, and there's a point we don't have to talk about every kill, but he gets finally to this one, and he gets him to a position where Ben totally has the upper hand. He's not dead yet, and the guy's yelling, "Go to commercial, go to commercial!" This movie, and and Ben's like, "I'm not going to kill you, not even sadistic scum like you," And in the background, you can hear a lady in the audience say, "Kill him." So
Yeah,
it's like, man,
yeah,
man, these people are sadistic themselves. It's a wonder that half of them aren't in prison or something. Probably because they
right.
know what the evil government and corporations will do to them if they do. But
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, they're just towing the line, I guess.
I
But
love when Agnes, and she goes, remember when Richard Dawson, or excuse me, Killian basically asks her, he goes, who's gonna be the one to make the next kill? And she says Ben Richards, and I mean, it's a total uproar, kind of like, whoa, whoa, whoa,
yeah,
no, you can't bet on him. He's a runner, and she's like, I'll do
yeah,
whatever I want, and I go for it, Ben Richards, I'll
yeah,
play the clip because it's like classic. I mean, this movie, it brings back so many great memories. And I mean, back to when the first time I saw it, or even like the 60th time I've probably seen this movie, which it doesn't deserve that many watches, but it's just so much fun.
Yeah, and like we were talking a little bit earlier, a buddy of mine was telling me like one of the things Arnold Schwarzenegger movies do really well is they take a concept and they explore it. And this
Hmm.
this was a very good combination of a dystopian setting that was well
Right.
presented. It was an Arnold action
Uh-huh.
movie. I think it was done
They
well.
do, and I'll tell you what, that really gets me in this movie, and I don't know if you felt it too, but like, even though it was '80s, and some could say, yeah, but the acting's awful, this that, yeah, I disagree, to be honest. I think Arnold's actually a really great actor. His stage presence is amazing, and when it was always said too, when he takes on a character, he really goes after it and tries to nail it. And I think from where he brings to the table is amazing. And the guy who plays, I think it's Laughlin. And I got to look at his name because I always get it, Yaphet Kotto, and he played in Alien. He was in the first Alien movie with Ridley Scott, directing and
Oh,
everything. Anyways, I love him too. But in this movie, I really, really felt bad when he got nailed by
yeah,
Buzzsaw, right? And
right.
so, he gets it looks like he gets kind of hit right in that arena. And then Ben and
Mhm.
Amber finally make it back to him. And he goes, my arrangements. I actually, if you really listen to his words, I love that dialogue that goes on between him and Ben. Um, it
Yeah,
seems so simplistic, but he goes, my range. I think Bussa already sent, or my arrangements, or to someplace, whatever. I'm gonna get it wrong, but the
yeah,
point was though, and he keeps talking, and then he gives, and everybody always dies in a certain way on film, right? And yet, we all criticize it. We're
right.
watching, and he says that line. He goes, I don't want to be the only asshole in hell, Ben. And he just got, and as he's, he's trying to finish that thought, and then he just dies right there, and then the music, da-na-na-na-na,
Right.
and I'm
Theme.
just
Yep.
like, no, you,
Yeah.
now
No, it was a good
and
death
now I'm
scene.
on board. I'm like, no, Killian's going down. The public's going
Yeah.
down. So it's interesting to see where people fall and where people lie. Because I don't think anybody would watch this movie saying, "I hope Arnold loses." you know,
Right.
I mean, I think we all know by the end of the movie, somebody's going to be getting their ass whooped, and it's not going to be Arnold, right? So,
Yeah.
anyways, so yeah, the movie has a lot of great fun stuff. So, Adam, are you a more recent viewer of this movie, or did you watch it some time back?
Yeah, I actually watched it last week, caught it on Amazon Prime, and thought I liked this movie. I'd go back and watch it. And I honestly like there are things that seem stranger to me now than they did when I watched it back in the 90s when I first saw it.
Mm-hmm.
But like even with some of kind of those 80s, like the one-liners that you're not used to, like action scenes are done very different now than they were in the 80s. I felt like
This is true.
even if for some reason you didn't like it, I still thought that there was enough that it brought to the table in terms of setting development and other things. And then I also want to add to the point I agree with you like on Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like we put so much emphasis on people that have wide range, guys, like
Right, right.
in our days, people like Brad Pitt, Tom
Tom Hanks,
Hanks,
yeah,
but like the Arnold Schwarzeneggers and a guy that's kind of like him in this regard, Tom Cruise is like the guys who just have enough stage presence that they can bring a similar character to every movie and people want to watch
yeah.
it. There's value in that too. It may not win them any Oscars, but there's a reason it sells tickets in the box office. And Arnold had that stage
They did.
presence.
He does it so that he makes his money and the studios make their money,
Right.
so everybody's happy,
Right.
and a lot of us hopefully get a great view out of the movie overall. And I will agree, and that's interesting you say that too, because it's so easy for characters to get typecast and whatnot. And I bring up a perfect point of Vince Vaughn, right? And
Yeah.
Vince Vaughn is amazing, and he was amazing for a period of years. But it's like he kept playing that same comedic, quick talking, personality, and unfortunately, it
Right.
just kind of wore on people. But interesting how action movies can still change things up enough to keep us interested, because it could be sci-fi, it could
Yeah.
just be pure action, it could be like maybe action drama. I mean, action thriller. I mean, there's a lot of different
Right.
places to go with that, and I guess that's why his career has lasted as long as it did.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And never really thought about that. But yeah, and those were both action stars that I mentioned. And maybe the reason they were successful is because you can change the setting insert a similar character, and as long as they got that stage presence, people are going to want to
Well,
see
stage
more.
presence too, and story. It's important about story. And like
Yeah.
you were saying, like they take a concept and they explore it, and they did that in this movie. And by the way, is this story is just so amazing? No, 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 it's not. But this is a very entertaining movie for what it is and the time, and even as of today, like you said, you just got it about a week or two ago, and you watched it, and you saw that, man, I'm still enjoying this. I too have seen this movie
Right.
multiple times, right? So
Mhm.
there's something to say
Yeah.
about
No.
these movies, and even years later, for some of the younger audience who might be watching our reviews and talks on this stuff, you might be worth your time to go take a look and see where some of the cinema came from. And I think if you spend some time watching some of these '80s flicks and things that Adam and I are talking about in our show, you'll see where a lot of great cinema, was founded. I mean, cinema wasn't founded in the 2000s, or don't even talk about 2010 to 2020. I mean, it's just been repeated and done and over, right? The '80s was a great time for experimentation, and it worked, and they did a lot of great stuff.
Yeah, and well, like you're saying, like every decade, going back to through the history of film, like there's a time period, every time period has things about it that make it unique. And I guess what I would say, kind of adding to what you said, is if you want to go back and explore '80s movies, The Running Man's worth a look, because it's got those '80s, those taglines, that '80s action style, but it's got enough other content that I think transcends the
It
decades.
does.
And even if you don't want to go back and just specifically watch '80s movies, I still think if you're just bored sitting around, maybe you got Prime Video, pull it up, give it a watch. It's an interesting concept. I think it'd be worth your
So
time.
with that said, I'm gonna take a little drink of this. Now that hit the spot. Do you remember that? Do you remember at the end of the movie? Killian, he sends Killian, remember, back down into the through the gauntlet, that little race
Right.
car thing that sends him back, down to the running man floor or whatever. And
Yeah, I
but for
do.
but
I
for
do.
some reason, instead of it stopping, it just flies out of control into a billboard of Killian, with Cadre Cola, the soda that they've been showing all throughout the movie, and it just explodes into just a crazy explosion. And then you see Arnold, and he's like, "Now that hit the spot." It's just like, oh, it just puts the biggest smile on my face. I hope it does the same to you all too. Some of you guys who are watching it on this, because obviously Adam and I really enjoyed this one and thought we'd just talk it, and some of the likeness, I guess, to our day and age, which obviously reality TV is not where we're going to be watching people get killed, but no doubt if we're not careful in how we treat each other, it might just happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, with that said, I am Mike, and this is Adam Kurtz as we do the ZMAM show. Every Wednesday we have content. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying what you're watching. Some of our future videos we're going to be coming up really, really soon is Arnold versus Sly and who is the better action star. We have a bunch of other movies. I have some other movie recommendations I'm going to be putting out on the side. And Adam's also come up with some ideas too, which he's going to be doing that in the background. So, with that said, this is the ZMAM show, and we will catch you guys at the next review.
See you next week.